Well, we are back again for another one of these streams that I'm trying to make sure I do weekly now. But we've got a few things to talk about, most of which is fucking Marvel. It's always Marvel. There's always something to talk about when it comes to Marvel, but that's kind of most of what we got. I was kind of struggling for sorts of other stuff going on. It's not been too busy in terms of stuff actually happening. Let me get rid of that. So it's just a lot of Marvel. We got some things here and there to do with Star Wars, because that's always fun to talk about. So we got that as well, and just yeah, again, just fucking Marvel. There's all just the past few weeks has been constant Marvel things. Oh, this is how Marvel fucked up their TV shows. This is how Marvel fucked up their phases and had no plan. That's kind of a lot of what we're getting. We got the Marvels. That's expected to flop big time, which isn't a surprise. It's definitely going to be a funny one when that makes very little. Considering the amount they've spent on it. But we'll get into all of that. But I haven't really been up to too much. I was supposed to do a video this week, and I thought, oh fuck it, I've left it too long. To do with the Daredevil stuff last week, because I ended up not having time to do it just because I had to go to a wedding and all that sort of business. So that was me out of the game for a couple of days. And I've because again, as I said on the last stream we did, I'm still trying to figure out the best way to go about the approach to videos, at least on this channel. So that's still what I'm trying to figure out the best approach. Should I script it? Should I do this, that, or the other? How's it going, Devonte? I'm not doing too bad. So that's kind of what I'm still trying to figure out, just how to go about it. But again, it's like there's not really this. I kind of thought with the strikes ending, we'd end up right. We're getting back to we're gonna have more shenanigans, more stuff to talk about, but it's still just pretty much quiet on that kind of front. So I've just been spending my time doing a bit of research because I'm going to do a breakdown for The Thing on Saturday. So I rewatched it last night. I've still got to get notes, like go through it and get notes. And then I've just been watching the sort of behind the scenes stuff, the making of The Thing, because luckily it was on YouTube. I thought, fuck it, I'll watch that. That will add a bit more to talk about, at least with the sorts of practical effects and all that they do. So that is what I've been up to, just preparing for that stream. I just thought it'd be worth doing that, and then at least there's a bit more to talk about. So that is kind of what I'm chipping away at. And then, well, we had a new game come out yesterday. Yesterday, or maybe a couple of days before. It looks to be. I don't know if anybody paid attention to the Gollum game, the Lord of the Rings Gollum. Basically, we got another one of those, and this time it's the eighth wonder of the world. It is, what is it, Skull Island, Rise of Kong, and it looks like a game from the year 2000. And they tried to charge 30 quid for it. No, they tried to charge, I believe in in the US, it was like $40, so like around about £37. It'd been out a couple of days. They had to reduce the price by about £10, because people were fucking like in uproar about it. Just that we're getting a game like this in 2023. They're trying to get $40 out of you to buy it, and it's just, again, it's like all the mechanics are fucked. I've seen some of the gameplay, and I was kind of like, oh, this would be a good laugh to play. I kind of missed out on the Gollum. I watched people stream it, just how bad that game was. I thought, oh, it's only 25 quid. Fuck, I'll get it. That would be a good laugh to stream. Yeah, Cash. I don't know where these studios are coming from, because the studio that made the Gollum game, they had to close down. because of the sort of reaction to that. So basically, we've got another memeable game. That's kind of what we got with Rise of Kong. It's insane that games like that are being made. It's like, you know, based on what I've seen of the gameplay, and just the sort of, you know, the graphics of it, it's like, it should have come out early 2000s. It's something where, yeah, I'd understand it if it was a free game, but it's like, yeah, like 25 quid I got it for. The day before it was 40. So it's fucking insane, some of these games. But I guess we'll find out what's worse anyway, Gollum or Rise of Kong. But yeah, I kind of missed out on Gollum, so I thought, oh, this might be a good laugh to stream. Tell. I don't think I think I've only played like from Telltale. I've only played a bit of the Walking Dead ones, but that's kind of about it. But yeah, I'm not sure what the studio that done this King Kong game. I don't know if they've done games in the past. I know the studio that done Gollum. That was their first game, shut down instantly. I mean, yeah, even the thing they even tried to like you could get a deluxe edition, like for Gollum, and you just got like free emotes. They talk in a certain language, well, like the elves at least, and that's like about it. That was like an extra £10 on top of the what do they charge for that? About 45 quid, something like that. Yeah, I've heard of the Wolf Among Us. But yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not really that into sort of the Telltale sort of games. I've been mainly just sort of diving into the Soulsborne type games. That's well, I never finished Liza P. That's something that I'm going to go back to. And then what did I started playing on Monday? I started playing that Lords of the Fallen, which it so far, you know, it's all right. There's not really much difference about it, you know, especially like Liza P. I think it's like a really good game, whereas Lords of the Fallen so far, you know, it's kind of what you just expect out of those types of games. Yeah, I think it kind of depends with like RPG. It's mainly the games I have started playing is mainly just, you know, like Dark Souls, like those types of games. I did used to play Assassin's Creed and all that. I ended up moving on from that because I'm tired of games where there's about 1,000 side missions that aren't really side missions. It's just, oh, go and get this for me and come back. It's like, all right, that's fun. That's kind of what brought down Hogwarts Legacy. You know, it was all right aside from that. It's like, oh no, you got to do all these fetch quests that are fucking boring. If you want to complete the game, you have to do them to get XP. So like RPGs like that, I'm kind of sick of. If it's just, you know, silly little side missions and that. But yeah, we'll get into what we got to talk about today anyway. As I say, mainly Marvel stuff, and then later I'll be back for a stream of that Rise of Kong, which I think will be a good laugh. I think it will. Even just based on some of the gameplay, it looks fucking hilarious. But yeah, let's dive into some of this stuff anyway. I've got the again, there's just a lot of Marvel stuff. I'm not bothering talking about Loki because I can't be bothered watching it. I miss the sort of older Assassin's Creed games, yeah. But yeah, Loki season 2. I'm just like, after the first episode, it's like, you know, I was gonna do like live streams breaking it down, and I was just like, I can't be fucked watching it. I've just got no interest to watch it. Which, see, again, there's no one talking about it. People were talking about it when the first episode came out. After that, I haven't heard a thing since the second episode has come out. Nobody's been talking about it whatsoever. And I'm just like, oh, I can't be bothered. What I'm just gonna watch. I'm just gonna watch other people's videos to sort of get the sort of roundup of what they've done in Loki season 2. I'm quite happy to skip Loki because it's just a fucking giant waste of time. But yeah, we've got this article that I thought we'd dive into first anyway. Basically about, we decided to go with Kang after there was positive buzz about the Loki cameo. That's when it's like, well, no, you decided that way before then. So I don't know why they sort of come. It seems like they go like trying to rewrite history. It's like that seems to seem to have been their original goal anyway when Loki came out. Like the first season was, we're gonna go all in on Kang. But yeah, as they say, Marvel Studios reportedly only chose Kang as Multiverse Saga villain after Jonathan Majors received positive buzz over Loki cameo. I don't remember that positive buzz. You know, based on what I watched of him, it's like, yeah, it's fine, but there's nothing there's nothing there that it's like, oh, that's a great character or anything. It's like, oh yeah, he's an actor and he can act. I don't know why that would make them think, right, we're gonna use him for our overarching thing of the multiverse that we fucked up before we even started, and we're gonna make him the face of it. I honestly don't know why. Out of all the villains you could go for within the next couple of phases, you go, oh, just get Kang. It's like he's even in like when he was first introduced. It's like, yeah, he's already boring. He's already, you got this clownish guy that we're supposed to take as this Thanos level threat, as they mentioned in this article, and it's just like, yeah, he hasn't been that from the very start. It's like, if you want this guy to be the overarching villain, he needs to be, like Thanos was, fucking ruthless. But we are yet to see that. Although we've seen it in Ant-Man 3, and then he got beat by Ant-Man. Out of all the Avengers, he got beat by Ant-Man. But yeah, I don't know. Out of all the characters you go for, you go Kang. When it's like you've got Doom. You got characters like that, and you go with Kang. Or even I don't know the character, but I know it's a bit like Galactus, is it? I think that's the other one that people wanted to see. But yeah, I would have just grounded it after the Infinity Saga, grounded it, introduced Daredevil, characters like that, and then had your Doctor Doom. Just have that, the sort of overarching villain. You can introduce Fantastic Four into that as well, and that would have been the better way to take it. Or even not do that. Just have ground it a bit. Just have street level heroes doing stuff like that. Just as a type of breather before you dive into the multiverse is at stake, which we've now seen about 8 times. But no, they went with we'll just get Kang, the guy that said he was professionally trained as a clown. But let's dive into this anyway. For all of Marvel Studios' promotion of Kang the Conqueror as their shared cinematic universe's next big bad who got beat by Ant-Man and communist ants, it seems that the decision to feature him in that role was only made after the villain's actor Jonathan Majors received positive buzz. I don't really remember that. I don't remember there being all this buzz, other than people said, oh, he was decent. I don't remember going, oh, Jonathan Majors, he's the next big thing. They definitely tried to make it seem that way. For his portrayal of a multiversal version of the time-traveling madman in Loki's first season. So I believe a lot of this comes out of a recent book, which is a newly released retrospective, The Reign of Marvel Studios, which is now completely over. This insight into Marvel's ongoing scramble to find a post-Endgame sense of direction, but again, it's like, I don't know why it was so hard for them to figure out what to do next. I don't know why it was so difficult. Um, to find a post-Endgame sense of direction was first divulged to the public by authors Joanna Robinson, Dave Gonzalez, and Gavin Edwards in their newly released retrospective, MCU: The Reign of Marvel Studios. Speaking to the studio's decision to begin heavily relying on the multiverse as a narrative tool, again, I think part of the reason they did go multiverse is because we've done, it's the universe is at stake, so now we need to go up to, now the multiverse is at stake, and it's like, where are you going to take it from there? If you want to continue on the trend of the stakes get even higher, it's like, where do you go from multiverse? There's literally nowhere to go. That's why if you start phase 4 and you bring it back down, and then you slowly build back up again as the sort of overarching thing progresses. But they've just kind of upped the stakes to, now we've got to do the multiverse. That's our only choice, because that's how the comics did it. They did it in a way where after 5 years of Spider-Man comics, they went, oh, let's do multiverses. Oh no, wait, they actually waited until, I don't know, decades, and then they went, all right, let's do multiverses. They did it decades after. And you've got Kevin Feige out there saying things like, we've barely scratched the surface. It's like, no, you're already out of material. You've already kind of hit the end by doing the multiverse this early. It's like the multiverse stuff should have come into it, I don't know, maybe after about 30 years of the MCU. That's where I go, yeah, you haven't, yeah, fine. But they've done it after, 10 years? And they're already on the multiverses when it's like, all the material you have to work with, all the thousands of other stories you can tell, and you're just like, fuck it, multiverse. I really think it does. It's, again, it's like with most things, whenever a certain franchise goes into multiverses or time travel, it really is just, oh, they haven't got any ideas. When it's like, all the fucking material is right there. All the material is right there. Heavily relying on the multiverse as a narrative tool, the authors recalled how the concept's MCU debut in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness opened up new possibilities for storytelling. Well, no, they didn't do that, because they made it that, oh, if you're from this multiverse and you go to this multiverse, you actually can't be here because you'll destroy that multiverse. That was the corner they painted themselves in. And then in later films or TV series, they went, nah, fuck that, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to forget about the idea of incursions. So I don't really know how that opened up new possibilities. If you want characters from the main MCU continuity to go into different universes, it's like, well, you can't then make it that, oh, well, if they go to these different universes, that will somehow cause destruction of that universe from them being there. So it's like, why would you write it that way? You're just limiting the possibilities by doing that. So that didn't really make any sense why they made that the case in that film. That completely shuts off anything to do in the multiverse. But that's just what they do. Yeah. 4 at this point. Yeah, that's he's completely destroyed. But I can't really think of any characters that haven't been destroyed. That you got, maybe, you got Groot. You got characters like that. Where, again, there was some in Guardians 3. There was at least one or two there was Gamora and Mantis. They were the two characters. Right, they're destroyed. They've already been completely assassinated. I think James Gunn did some damage to at least Peter and other characters. It was only really Rocket and Groot that came out of that film sort of unscathed. And that's kind of because Groot was barely in it, and Rocket, luckily, he wasn't witnessing all this. He was out of the game for the majority of the film. So they're really the only two characters that haven't suffered at least a bit of damage. But yeah, it's just every character. I mean, they even managed to do it to Nick Fury. They went, oh, let's give him his TV series, and then we'll make everyone take the piss out of him for being old. And then we'll make it so, actually, at the end of Infinity War, he wanted to die. When it's like, no, he didn't. But just the countless things they do to just every character. And it is honestly, well, Secret Invasion seemed like it was on purpose. But most of it is just pure incompetence. They just can't get the talent in. That's the problem. And they're never really going to get any talent in because there's no interest. It's like it's a dead end job. But let's see what they say. They say Multiverse of Madness featured not only the All-Star Illuminati. What were they? They introduced Mr. Fantastic and said, "This is the smartest person alive." And then he tells the villain how to kill his friend. He tells the villain his plan, so the villain can preemptively prepare for whatever's coming her way. That's honestly one of the most hilarious things in that film. This is what's his fucking name? I don't know why I'm forgetting his name now. No, this is his Reed Richards, the most intelligent man in the world or in the universe. And then you just have that scene where he tells Wanda, if you don't do what we say, Black Bolt will do this. And she goes, oh, all right then. So fucking pure insane. The world's smartest idiot. So that was quite what a joke of a film. I still don't think we've reached that. Like that to me is the worst film that Marvel has produced. That just every scene there is something wrong. So not only the All-Star Illuminati with John Krasinski and Patrick Stewart, where they snapped Patrick Stewart's neck, because that's what they thought. Oh, right, what we want to do with this film is, because No Way Home did it, and well, they did it in the right way, we're going to take the wrong lessons from that. We're going to add in later on, all these people. We're going to jangle the keys with Patrick Stewart and the fan cast of Reed Richards, and then we're going to kill them all. It's like I don't know what they thought we were going to get out of that. It's like, oh yeah, we want to see Patrick Stewart back as Professor X, or whatever it is, and then kill him. Wonder will snap his neck, and then he'll slump down in his chair. I don't know what the plan of that was. But where were we? But 4 different versions of Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. The trio explained, Marvel Studios believed that audiences could follow complicated contingency timelines. Again, it's not right. It's not. I don't know how they can say it's complicated. It's complicated in the sense that the people writing the film didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They didn't have it actually make any sense. It was just it was pretty easy to understand. It just didn't make sense. That was the I wouldn't really call what we got in Multiverse of Madness complicated. I would save that for like the first episode of Loki season 2. That's complicated and not in a good way. Contingency timelines without comic book style explanatory captions, and tried not to abuse that trust. But again, it's like, yeah, you did all this and none of it made sense anyway. So I don't know why. And again, it's like most of the Marvel stuff now, they spell it out blatantly for the audience. There's nothing subtle. It's like, oh, we have to explain to them exactly what's going on. It's not going to make any sense, and it's actually going to confuse them even more. So that's kind of what we've got from that. Providing a brief recap for readers, Robinson, Gonzalez, and Edwards then explained, phases 1, 2, and 3 of the MCU had been collectively known as the Infinity Saga. Phases 4, 5, and 6 were dubbed the Multiverse Saga, and noted that the saga's antagonist, introduced in Loki as He Who Remains, and then showcased in the movie Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, was the time-traveling Kang, where the first appearance he was a clown, the second appearance he got beat by communist ants, and then he got beat by Ant-Man. A character who had so many different versions and iterations in Marvel comic books that writers and fans had long ago given up on keeping them all straight. Again, it's like the worst character to use, because it's like you're going to keep bringing him back, he's going to keep getting beaten, and it's just like, over time, it's like, why is he a threat? We've already seen you beat him twice, so it's just like, what are you expecting us to believe? It's like there's no threat to him. There is none there. How's it going, Stoney? Yeah, but I'm gonna play the new King Kong game in the next few hours, sort of after, once I've had my dinner, all that, come back for a few hours, and we'll jump into that. I'm quite looking forward to it. I'm hoping it's a good laugh. But having finally broached the specific topic of Kang himself, the authors then revealed that according to one Marvel source, Kang was not originally intended to be the overarching villain of the multiverse saga. The decision to elevate him to a Thanos-level threat was based on the positive buzz actor Jonathan Majors generated in the role, which I don't think was that much. You had Ant-Man 3 come out. I suppose that was the only thing that people said was decent. Again, that's never been the problem with the MCU. Like, the performances are always good. They're always fine. There's nothing wrong with the performances. So I don't know. I don't really get the sort of, a big positive buzz. It's like, yeah, of course he's fine. He knows how to act. So I don't really understand why that would be top tier praise. Unless you're given a performance of a lifetime, which in Loki it's like, we don't really see that. We don't really see impeccable acting. Like you would see from Oppenheimer or something like that. There's nothing like that in Loki. It's just like, yeah, he acts. He knows how to act. That's all there is to it. There's not really much to praise about that. But yeah, I don't think there was much. It's just like Thanos. The idea that he's a Thanos level threat now that's over. That's already over. Disney flexed its marketing muscles for Kang's cinematic debut, hoping to get as many eyes as possible on Major's performance, and to hype 2 post-credit sequences promoting his central role in both TV Loki and film everything else. In the closing moments of Ant-Man Quantumania, thousands of versions of Kang crowded an arena. All of them wore the face of Jonathan Majors. Not since Robert Downey Jr. had the studio placed so many chips on one actor. Well, Robert Downey Jr. It's like, yeah, they placed so many chips on him, and that was mainly to do with his personal life. That was mainly to do with his addictions and his going to jail, things like that. That's why you would say, yeah, they put a lot of chips on him. Jonathan Majors, although at this point, yeah, maybe. Because we ain't even heard nothing about that. Like, is he out of the MCU? Is he not? We know he's in Loki season 2. After that, I'm not so sure. Because we haven't seen much of what his court case is, if any of it's true, if any of it's not. So I guess at that point, if he does get convicted or something, it's like, yeah, they placed a lot of chips on him. But at the moment, it's just like, did you really? And though this bet was undoubtedly risky, Marvel's confidence in their new main antagonist was boosted by the fact that although the reviews for Quantumania were woeful, and its box office dropped by 69% in its second weekend of release, setting a dismal new record for Marvel Studios, Majors seemed immune to criticism. Again, it's like, right, what you can't really criticize his acting, right? That's that out the way. But the character has a lot to criticize. So I don't really, again, it's just they're taking that from, all the professional critics said he gave a great performance. It's like, yeah, he gave a performance. That was it. I don't know why you go immune to criticism. It's like, no, he's not. His character, bears the brunt of the criticism. So I wouldn't really call that immune. As his performance was lauded as the highlight of the movie and the de facto future of the MCU. Again, acting fine. The way he was told to act, probably not. Where he just goes full fucking insane at the end. But do they say... yeah, I think we got a bit more here. Of course, as fans and the authors of MCU The Reign of Marvel Studios now know, Marvel's plans for Kang ran into a major roadblock when on March 22nd, less than 2 months... So, yeah, he allegedly strangled a woman. I haven't heard much about that in the past few months. Per the trio's recollection of the situation, suddenly Marvel's safest bet for its future... again, it's just like, what? How is Kang your safest bet? It's like there's no safe bet now. It's like it's over. It's already over with Kang. It's like, even without the stuff to do with Jonathan Majors, it's like, yeah, it's already over for Kang. You're not going to get any more excitement out of your non-existent audience at this point, because there's nothing interesting about him. It's just like, oh, it's some guy, and there's loads of versions of him. In Loki, when he was introduced, he was controlling the timeline. He made, Iron Man make all these choices. It was all Kang, instantly killing any investment in sort of past MCU. And then, yeah, he was, I need to have one sacred timeline so the other versions of me don't appear. And the way I have to do that is I have to genocide a load of people. That's the only way I can do it. I don't know, when they appear, I go there and I kill them. No, it's got to be genocide the entire timelines. So it's even then. It's just a really stupid character. I don't think that's pretty much what they have to say about Kang. So, yeah, at least they say, he wasn't originally intended to be the overarching villain. I don't know how much I believe that, considering, Phase 4 starts with WandaVision and then Loki, and that Loki is when we go into the multiverse stuff. Kang is at the very end of it, and we get versions of it. So it's like, nah, you already planned this before then. Before there was this so-called positive buzz about Jonathan Majors. It's like you already set up all this stuff in Loki Season 1. So I don't know why you can say, that wasn't the original intention. Well, it clearly was. Unless it was just, right, we're going to see what this does. And then we're going to see what this does. Just throwing shit at a wall, really. So, yeah, it's just, we've heard a lot about their just lack of planning. They got no idea what to do. No idea. They've got all these employees. Not one single person had a good idea. Not one of them. I'm pretty sure that there probably was, but I don't think they spoke up. That's probably the problem. No, I don't think I have seen... No, I haven't seen Lovecraft Country. I'm not sure. Is that the Western one, is it? Is that the Western one on... I think it's on Netflix, is it? Let me see. Oh, it's a drama series. No, I haven't seen that. What is it on? I'm trying to see what... Oh, it's on HBO. No, I don't think I have seen that. But I'm not sure. Have you mentioned that before? I think probably when I've done the Ant-Man 3 stream. I think you must. What's Westworld? But right. Was he in Westworld? Was he? But yeah, was there not like, yeah, there was like a Western movie that he was in. I'm pretty sure that's on Netflix. I just need to check that, actually. because I'm pretty sure there was. Yeah, that was it. The Harder They Fall, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I've heard of that one. I haven't seen it. I haven't watched. I don't think I've watched anything else with Jonathan Majors in it, other than what I've seen of him in Marvel. But yeah, it's just, all these reports coming out. It's just like, yeah, we all kind of knew it. We all kind of knew it. They didn't really have a plan. They didn't even bother just to take a year off, 2 years to fully go, right, we got to plan all this out. I don't know why they didn't take a couple of years just to figure it out. They weren't willing to stop that money coming in. And that's kind of that's ended up costing them more. So they really are just fucking daft. But what else have we got in the Marvel sphere? Because we have got this. We got the Marvels, which is coming out. How long have we got now? What we got, about 3 weeks. We got about 3 weeks till the Marvels comes out on November 10th. I'm sure it's going to be fucking terrible. That's apparent. That's really obvious how bad this is going to be. I mean, it's been reshot to hell and back, so it's like, yeah, it's going to be a mess, isn't it? But Brie Larson's The Marvels predicted to have one of, if not the worst, box office grosses for the Marvel Cinematic Universe ever. And I would not be surprised by that. I think the worst we've had so far, Ant-Man 3, that didn't done really bad. I don't know if it lost as much money as, like, Eternals. I can't remember. But this looks to be like it could be the absolute worst. Yeah, daft. So, yeah, what are they? So, yeah, now opening weekend box office predictions have been revealed for Marvel Studios' The Marvels, and it claims the film will make less than box office loser Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and could claim the spot for not just the lowest opening weekend in Marvel Cinematic Universe history, but the lowest grossing MCU film overall. Because, yeah, I think we have the numbers here. So, for its domestic opening weekend, they're predicting 50 million to 75 million. So that's not good. I predict it's going to be less than that. My prediction is 25 million. 25 million for the domestic opening weekend. That's my prediction for it at the moment. I just think out of, the downward trend Marvel's been on, it's like they've kind of hit rock bottom. There's no way you're going to get people back with the Marvels. That is just going to throw people further away. So I think it's gonna make less than that just for the opening weekend. And they predict that for the whole domestic box office run, 121 million and 189 million. I don't see either of those. I'm just like, now lower. It's going to be so much lower than that. I think worldwide 300 million, and I think I'm being quite generous with that. So if it does 300 million out of, what? About 200 million for its 200 million for its production budget, around another 200 million for its marketing budget, and then on top of that, all the reshoots, which are upwards of, $50 million. So you're looking at least, about 400 and, well, that's, yeah, so basically, round about 800, 900 million this film needs to make to break even. It's like, that ain't happening. There is no way that's going to be the case. It's I reckon about 300 million. That's about as far as it's going to go. Just for its worldwide box office run, I don't think it's going to do much better than that. But let's, and I think these predictions are far lower than Quantumania. They initially predicted the film would gross between 96 million and 131 million in its opening weekend, and 249 million to 347 million in its entire domestic run, which I think, how much was it again? 463 million. So basically, yeah, it made nothing. It lost money. I think I'm pretty sure it lost money. But yeah, none of this ain't gonna fucking make money. There's no chance of that. I don't think it's gonna break even. I don't even think it's gonna get close. Even close to making its money back, because it's just like, again, you've had just the disaster that has been Phase 4 and 5. It's just like, yeah, you had Guardians 3. I think it's a shit film, but it did pretty well. It didn't do as good as Guardians 2. I don't think it quite reached there. So that's like, out of Phase 4, 5, it's like, yeah, you had Spider-Man. That's a Sony film, so it doesn't really count. So out of all those films you've had Guardians 3. And it's like, that's because people gave a shit about those characters. Whereas you jump into the Marvels, it's like, right, first of all, nobody knows who Ms. Marvel is, because nobody watched her TV show, because why the fuck would you? So we already don't know who that is. We then have her that plays Monica Rambeau, where she let a murderer go and a torturer go, and somehow tried to make out, she's good, actually. It's like, nah, she just let a murderer and a torturer evade any consequences. And then that same person, that being Wanda, went on to just kill loads and loads of people. And that's because of Monica Rambeau for letting her go. So it's like, already, it's like, yeah, no one likes her. Still, nobody really knows who it is. She's got a power set of, I can see light, which we all can do, so I don't know why that's a power. So it's just like, you've got nothing there on the other character side of things. You've then got Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. It's like, nobody likes Captain Marvel. Some of that comes down to Brie Larson herself with certain things she said in the past. Other things, it's just like, shit character. Just a shit generic character with, well, she doesn't have a character. Just through the whole movie of Captain Marvel, she's got no character. There's nothing to her other than her friend says she's awesome. And that's all we know about her. She's apparently awesome. That's it. That's all we've got out of her. Out of, what, an hour and 40-minute film? That's all we've got. Oh, her friend just thinks she's awesome. That's the only character trait she has. She's awesome. We don't need to do any more work than that. She's just fucking awesome. But yeah, I think with not having Brie Larson sort of, doing the promotional stuff because you still got the actors on strike, that's probably I don't even think it matters, really, does it? I don't think it could make matters worse by having Brie Larson going out there saying all these misogynists. That's not even gonna damage the film, because the film's already damaged. Even though I think if we were to have promotional stuff from Brie Larson, she seems to have in the recent years kind of, I'm gonna try not to piss people off. I'm just gonna go, here's the movie, that's it, there you go. And that seems to have been what she's done. But yeah, I think based on certain things, I don't even think she wants anything to do with Marvel anymore. We had that interview where she was asked, oh, are you coming back for more Captain Marvel? And she's just like, what, do they want me back, do they? Like, seemingly talking about, like, Marvel. So I don't know how much more interest she has to go further than this film. I think this is probably going to be her last one, because I would walk back I just thought she was a terrible actress. But it's like, nah, they just made her a terrible actress in Captain Marvel. Because I've seen some of her other films, and she's really good. So it really does show you just a lot of the time, even with the likes of Ahsoka, it's like, yeah, you have Rosario Dawson, good actor, and shit performance in Ahsoka. So you even get parts of that where it's just like, yeah, they really do fuck some of these actors, don't they? I think it was, what was it, Room. I ended up watching that. I thought, I've heard good things about it. I'll give it a watch. She actually can act, which I was just baffled by, because it's like you watch Captain Marvel, it's like, holy fuck, the acting's really bad, and it's like you go and watch that, it's like, oh no, she can act. It was just buffoons at Marvel going, well, we can't have her be vulnerable. We can't have anything like that. She's just got to be plank of wood. And it's like, that's what you get with the likes of Ahsoka as well. It's like, no, we can't have a show vulnerability. She's just got to be stoic. You know, that's what they do. Yeah, that was mainly, yeah, that was why people didn't like her, was just a lot of the stuff to do with, well, it was a, what was it, A Wrinkle in Time. That was where she said, I don't care what a bunch of 40-year-old white men think about my movie or something. It was comments like that that kind of led to people not liking her. And then I suppose there was some stuff with Captain Marvel and stuff like that. But yeah, it's funny. It's just kind of funny what these studios do to some actors. It's like they know how to act, and you're just not giving them anything. It's like, you know, what do you really need to do if you don't have to show any vulnerability, no emotion? It's like, yeah, but that you're not really doing what your job is. You're not really giving a performance. But yeah, they'll never get it. They'll never understand that. It's like, no, we can't have a woman be vulnerable. It's like, why? That's what I quite appreciated about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. You know, I didn't really like the film, but even with, what's her name? Why am I forgetting her name now? I always blank on people's names and I just end up forgetting. But like her in that, it's like she's shown vulnerability. It's just like you don't really see it a lot of the time. Especially the likes of Marvel, Star Wars, whatever it is, sort of major studios. You just don't really see it. Someone, yeah, I don't know how someone can, yes, 700 million. Yeah, I don't see that happening. There's no way. There's just like, yeah, there's nothing. There's just nothing there that would even have interest. Even just like leaving aside the downward trend Marvel's been on. It's like 700 million. There's no way. I mean, even 700 million. It's like, yeah, that still hasn't broken even, really. But yeah, I'm not surprised as some people say it will like 700 million. But yeah, that's kind of most the Marvel stuff, I believe. Just a whole lot of Marvel stuff. There was a couple of Star Wars things that, yeah, we still got time anyway. Where are we? I don't know if we want to go into that. We might as well talk about this. This could be interesting somewhat. Because of course we have some Star Wars fans that I don't know, don't really come across as fans. That have a lot of cope when it comes to people shitting on these films or on these series. There's just so much cope going on for, you know, people that do sort of go out their way to defend it. And I believe there's this site, Geeks of Color. I don't know why you'd call your site that, but okay. Makes ridiculous claim. You know, it's essentially what we've heard so many times, is that critics of Disney's terrible Star Wars movies and shows are white supremacists. It's just like, what? You know, every time it's just like, why can't people just not cope? Why do you have to go, oh well, the reason they don't like these films is because they're white supremacists? It's like, well, you know, again, they're going in to try and make the claim that when people criticize these shows, secretly what they're doing is they're trying to inject something into it to get people to come around to their cause. And that's kind of the stuff they say. I don't think we'll go too far into it because it's like we've seen all this shit before. Yeah, no, I think you're all just white supremacists. I'm sorry. Yeah, even if you are black, you're still a white supremacist somehow. But yeah, let me see what, because essentially what this, so it's this guy here, Andres Cabrera. So let's just go from the let's just go through the tweets anyway. I don't think we really need to read much else of it. A lot of people forget this, but there is a direct correlation between white supremacist crowd and the unbridled hatred of the Star Wars sequels. It's because they're bad. That's all it is. I saw in real time as they scouted out the Star Wars fandom as a potential haven for spreading their message of hatred, which I haven't seen. I haven't seen myself. They seem to go, oh, well, secretly, they're trying to spread this message. You know, they're going, you know, the reason we don't like Rey is because she's a Mary Sue, all this, that, and the other. Oh, and by the way, women should be second-class citizens. I don't think I've ever seen anyone say things like that. But that seems to be what they sort of believe. Let me see where we go. So he obviously brings up, you know, the racism side and the misogynist stuff. It started with the straightforward. Hold on. It started with the straightforward racist approach of hating on The Force Awakens because a black stormtrooper, which again I've never seen anyone complain about that, because it, you know, I don't understand why the stormtroopers, you know, wouldn't be all different colors. I suppose I don't know why. You know, again, it's just like, I don't think anyone complained about a black stormtrooper. I could probably say maybe a couple of people, but that's about it. Which is again, it's quite funny that, because most people were hoping they did something with John Boyega, but they didn't. They just had him. Oh well, he's just gonna run around after Rey. And that's all they did with him. When it's like the amount of interesting avenues you could go with someone that has been, you know, under this sort of spell, working for the bad guys as a stormtrooper, and then they suddenly snap out of it. They sort of realize, shit, what the fuck have I been doing? You know, there's loads of things you can do with that. And they went, nah, he runs around after Rey, screaming Rey at the top of his lungs. That's all they did with him. Oh, so right. So some people did. Yeah, I you know, again, it's like most of these things. It's like, yeah, you know, maybe a few, but in terms of most people, it's like, nah. I don't really think people were doing that. But yeah, as I say, maybe a couple of people. But I wouldn't really take issue with a black stormtrooper. I don't really see the sort of issue with that. Was one of the leads of the movie when their target audience, and again, it's like most people when The Force Awakens came out were quite happy with it. You know, it wasn't really until The Last Jedi, when that came out, then people kind of looked at The Force Awakens and kind of went, yeah, that's terrible. It was just kind of, you know, it looks like Star Wars. Star Wars is back. I think that's why the sort of reaction to it when it first came out was pretty much positive, just because we hadn't seen it in years. But even when I came out the cinema after seeing it, I was like, oh, that was just kind of A New Hope, wasn't it? You know, it wasn't much different than A New Hope. It wasn't anything new about it. They just played it really safe. Like, they weren't quite sure. Which, you know, that's part of that's probably due to Jar Jar Abrams. I mean, he's always going to sort of go the safe route. When their target audience didn't fall in line with that blatantly racist take, they moved on. Again, I don't really think they can make this, you know, out to be a big thing. Like this person here, it's like, yeah, you can't really use that because it's like you can make the case a couple of people did. But other than that, didn't really hear it. Didn't fall in line with that blatantly racist take. They moved on to good old-fashioned misogyny. And again, it just goes back to, like, do they just think people that, you know, whatever channel it is or on Twitter, whatever, I've never seen people secretly go, oh, by the way, women should be second-class citizens. I've never seen that happen. The hatred of Rey became a massive point for Star Wars channels, You know, again, because he's not a good character. That's why. As soon as TFA came out, which, you know, again, was it? What I don't. There wasn't a lot of hatred for, like, when TFA came out. That was the one film that kind of got away scot-free, at least until The Last Jedi came out, and then people kind of turned on TFA. So I don't think originally when TFA came out that there was a lot of hatred for it, or even Rey. Wasn't really until The Last Jedi. Nearly every corner of Star Wars YouTube featured this targeted campaign against Rey, which is, again, a character. Fictional character, you see. So it's like targeted campaign against Rey, right, yeah, made-up character. It's not really causing any harm, is it? This coordinated effort created similar talking points with different variations in order to spread across online spaces. An important thing to remember is that these takes came from the same people, the same ones who were screaming and crying because there was a black lead in a Star Wars movie. Yeah, there's, again, never been a black character in Star Wars, you see, even though in the very fucking first or second film. In the Star Wars movie came from the same spaces as the originators of the hate movement against Rey. That's who we're dealing with. You know, again, even if all of what he says is true, it's like that doesn't change the fact that the films are fucking terrible. That changes nothing. After the Last Jedi, all hell broke loose. The message became even more effective with camouflage talking points. You know, again, it's just like, yeah, if you can't prove that people do have these talking points, you just say, oh, they're camouflaged. All right, okay. Camouflage talking points, meaning I can't come up with actual examples, that were made to seem more sensible and relatable while still harbouring the same theme. They sugarcoated the brazenness of their contempt to appear more reasonable. The problem is, this sentiment is still alive and growing within the Star Wars community. We saw it with the hatred against Reva and Obi-Wan. That's because, again, another terrible character. The too many female characters take against Ahsoka. Didn't really have a problem with that. Again, the show and the characters are fucking shit. And on it goes. Yeah, because it's all terrible. I don't know why you have to cope this hard. Because it has become almost imperceivable from regular Star Wars fandom. So then, of course, he comes up with, oh, I'm not saying everyone, because a minute ago he just did. He said it was the Star Wars community. Clearly, I'm not saying a dislike or disappointment in a recent Star Wars project automatically equates to the worst of the fandom. Well, that is what you're saying. You're saying, oh, this criticism of current Star Wars, it's because you're racist. You literally just made a whole speech about that. However, there is a distinct bad faith portion of the Star Wars fandom that has become effective in their messaging and branding as just speaking the truth. Well, I mean, to say Ahsoka's bad, it's like, yeah, that's the truth. The truth is, online grifters... that's a word I've really grown to hate, grifters. It's just thrown about so you know, just whenever. So it doesn't even mean anything at this point. It's just, oh, grifter is someone I disagree with. I disagree with them, so they must be lying. Have grown exponentially in recent years, and it's important to remember how a lot of them choose Star Wars as their pop culture watering ground in order to cultivate further hateful themes like criticism and capture the attention of an overly eager fan base. So I guess we're now getting into his evidence, which is, of course, the rewriting Ripley article, which we've seen multiple people go over that. A lot of horse shit. But yeah, that's quite, because I think what did they do? 2 articles. They even had like a trailer for it, where again it's just kind of making the same claims like this guy has, where, oh, if we look at these stats and these stats, that proves that these content creators are white supremacists. And they don't actually. There's no actual research. There's no proper research in the rewriting Ripley article. They just kind of say things, just make claims, just cope. They just can't say, well, it may be a bad film, but I like it. They have to go, no, this is a good film. You're just a white supremacist. That's kind of where they want to go with it. But yeah, we haven't had one of those articles in a while. It's kind of they've kind of calmed down on that front, it seems. With most stuff now. I imagine part of that is probably because there's not really been as much coming out. Maybe. I'm pretty sure when the Marvels comes around, there's going to be multiple articles of misogyny. That would be my guess on that. But what else have we got? Well, we might as well keep in theme with a bit of Star Wars. Particularly a Star Wars theory tweet. That I just, again, it just makes it clear, kind of, with where certain people stand with Star Wars. It really shows the sort of how many different groups of Star Wars fans there are. There's Star Wars fans that just want good storytelling. There's Star Wars fans that just like the superficial shit. And then there's, everything in between that sort of. But yeah, it was a Star Wars theory tweet. Which, I think Star Wars theory is a nice guy. But the way he kind of looks at Star Wars is just kind of depressing. It really is depressing. So basically, it was this video where he ranked every Star Wars show best to worst. And someone says, I love you, Theory, but Andor is in C below Ahsoka, Rebels, and Bad Batch, which, to me, being the big Andor fan that I am, is fucking insane. I don't know how you rank Ahsoka above Andor. Even if you're not a fan of Andor, it's like, most people will go, well, that doesn't make any sense, does it? And again, it's just like, so it's like the reply here, which, again, it just shows the sort of, we've seen all the reaction channels go, oh, look, red lightsaber. And that's kind of the only thing that they're really interested in. They're not interested in a story with fully developed characters. They just want to go, oh, look, he lit his lightsaber. So therefore, great show. And I think that seems to be, again, it's kind of in this tweet that really shows why, what some people are looking for, which is just so insane to me. Again, it's the same thing. Oh, Andor is not Star Wars because it doesn't have Jedis and the Force and the Sith. It doesn't have all those superficial things. So therefore, it's not Star Wars. For some reason, Star Wars Theory puts it, it's a world-building show. Because apparently the original trilogy had no world building in it. And then it's really this line here. It doesn't compete with actual Star Wars, which is apparently Jedi, Sith, the Force, etc. So that's not what again, it's just like, it's such a weird, I don't know how you can have a whole channel dedicated to Star Wars stuff, and you're like, oh, Star Wars is about lightsabers and Jedi. It's like, well, there's a bit more to it than that. You've got characters going on a journey, going on an arc. You've got all that. You've got a world that gets built and fleshed out in some way. So it's like there's a lot more to Star Wars than just, oh, it's about Jedis and lightsabers and the jangling of keys. That's what Star Wars is about. It's just a good sci-fi show, nothing more. Well, no, Star Wars. It's, although with where most of Star Wars is, I'd probably rather it wasn't, because it's actually good. Whereas, what we've gotten throughout many years now is just a lot of garbage. Whether it's your Ahsoka or like Kenobi, or even the prequels. It's like it's just like, why do I really want Andor to be a part of that? Do I want Andor to exist in a universe where we now have zombie fucking stormtroopers and witches and magic bullshit? You know, if I had to compare Andor to Ahsoka, it's like, yeah, they probably don't exist in the same universe. That's because one of them is a load of made up shite. That being Ahsoka. You know, again, the idea. Oh no, these magical witch. No, there's not. There's no the only magic in Star Wars is the Force. That's all you get. You can't handle another magic system. That has been proven. So yeah, look at it in that way. It's like, yeah, you know, again, it's like, what's closer to the original trilogy, Andor or Ahsoka? It's well, Andor. I wouldn't, if I was watching the OT. There's no way I could imagine all the shit that happens in Ahsoka, is actually within the same world. There's nothing there in that original trilogy where it's like, yeah, there's space whales in this universe, and there's these magical witches that can reanimate stormtrooper corpses. It's like there's none of that. So it's really funny to me that you want Ahsoka to be Star Wars, which is really, really terrible, but you don't want the good show to be a part of Star Wars. Because apparently it's a world building show. Yeah, what it does is it makes the world feel more real by adding extra elements to it. Yeah, it's fucking but it's really just I'm really just tired of this fucking sentiment from some people. Where it's so they like, Star Wars to them is the most superficial thing ever. It's like, surely Star Wars must mean more to you than that, than just Jedi and Sith Force. That's what Star Wars is about. I don't want to hear anything else about it. But yeah, it's like it's kind of this attitude that's why we're in the position we're in, and that's why they're going to continue to churn out the same, you know, superficial, you know, barely a story crap. It's just because that's how certain fans are looking at it. You know, it's just, oh well, it's, you know, it's the brand, really. It doesn't go deeper than that. You know, it's just, I don't understand it. But that's not a continuous thing. It's, oh, Andor's not Star Wars. Why? You know, I don't know. I don't really know where that comes from. It's not Star Wars. Well, it is. You know, I don't know why you wouldn't want it to be Star Wars. It's like the best thing we've gotten since the OT. It's like it's fucking so much better than, you know, whether it's the prequels or even sort of Disney Lucasfilm era. It's like, it's right up there with the OT. There's fucking no doubt about it. But they're just like, nah, it's not really Star Wars. It's boring because there's no lightsaber duels. It's like every time we get them, they're fucking terrible and they're boring. It's like, you look at Ahsoka, it's like, yeah, they have lots of action, and that's fucking boring though. The most boring thing ever. But that kind of gets us out of the woodwork of Star Wars. But I'm quite tired of seeing that sort of sentiment. I still am at some point going to do a breakdown of the whole season of Andor, because I'm kind of like, yeah, it deserves it, I think. But yeah, that's kind of all we've got to go through. But yeah, so at some point I'm gonna do, you know, just break down every episode. Because I wouldn't mind talking about it. There's a lot of things to talk about it. You know, like on the first sort of few episodes when I first watched it, I wasn't quite sold on it. Then, you know, as it builds up, it's just like, fuck, that was quite a good show. And then it's when I rewatched it recently, and I'm like, yeah, I really fucking like this. You know, there's so much more you notice sort of in the opening episodes, watching it a second time. Yeah, I think I do deserve a good show to break down. But yeah, I just, yeah, the second watch of that, I'm like, yeah, I definitely, I would rewatch it like a third time and a fourth time. There's just kind of a lot of stuff in there that I think is definitely worth praising. But yeah, I'm going to do that at some point. sometime soon. I don't know. But yeah, that kind of gets us through everything. I don't think we've got much else to go over. I'm still at some point gonna be out with videos. I know. I said it last week. I haven't had anything yet. I'm just still trying to figure out the best way of making videos. And I was just a bit late on the video that I did want to do, so I was like, is there any point in doing it now? But yeah, we'll be back at some point. The only things I can probably say I've got coming in the next in the next 2 hours, I'm gonna stream playing that Rise of Kong, so that should be a good laugh. And then Saturday, I'm gonna be breaking down The Thing. I rewatched it last night, so I'm gonna go through it sort of bit by bit again. Get some notes together. And then I've just been watching the making of The Thing, just so we've got a little more to talk about sort of with that film. And then I'll be doing that stream at some point on Saturday. It'll probably be like round about this time. And we'll sit down, we'll go through it all, and that'll be a nice little Halloween special. And then I think next, not this Saturday, but the next week, I'm gonna do The Fly, and then then we've kind of done a couple. We've kind of then done a Halloween and make a list and a lot more breakdowns. I think I wouldn't mind doing the OT and the prequels. I might do those. I might do the Nolan trilogy. So I think we can get. I kind of want to do it a bit more, especially with certain films, just to certain films that I haven't really given the critical eye, just so I can really see, right, what is, whether it's the prequels. I've never properly sat and watched the prequels and went, yeah, this don't work, this don't work, this don't work. So it would be interesting to do that. But yeah, I'll be back a bit later, and then on Saturday, and then I'm gonna stick to these once a week. But yeah, I'm kind of up to my eyeballs in games to stream at the moment, because I need to keep playing that Lords of the Fallen. I believe this Rise of Kong game it was only like 2.5 gigabytes, so it's not going to be a long game. I reckon about maybe 6 to 9 hours. That's probably about as long as it will be. And I probably, if we get enough funny things out of it, then I can probably throw together a video, I think, about that. That could be a good laugh. But I will finish off there. It's been a good talking to you in chat. And I will see you on the next one, which I'm not really scheduling at the moment. I'm just kind of, when I've got free time, I'll do one of these. So it's most likely going to be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Just whenever I can kind of, I can kind of be arsed talking for an hour. But I will finish off there, and I will see you in the next couple of hours.